Welcome to I'm From the Internet, a podcast about the internet, its users, and their consequences. I am disgraced comedian Winslow Dumaine, sitting here with internet historian Jay Brandstetter. Jay, how have you been, man?
All things considered, I think, considering that, we've lost a second piece of major internet history this year now, I've been holding up pretty good. Like, I don't have a close connection to this one, but given the circumstances, it does feel appropriate to be memorializing Chuck on the show here, too.
I think, yes, he is a part of internet history, but it's different for him because he wasn't necessarily an internet person, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, we made him a part of internet history. It's like saying, like, if SpongeBob died, yes, but SpongeBob wasn't on the computer.
Yeah, if Iran finally got revenge on us.
If Iran finally fucking took out SpongeBob. So yeah, it's different when it's like the subject of a meme dies, like that thick neck guy. If he were to croak, we would hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if the I Like Turtles kid, had Jack disease and died or something, then
yeah. Yeah, man, I just got back from Albuquerque. That was fun. Got to see some horses. Lots of geese and chickens out there. That's good. One thing that happened recently was a YouTube channel called Dungeon Dive put up an hour-long review of my new game, The Restless, and gave it their Golden Torch Award, which apparently is pretty elusive for many designers. And the guy absolutely loved it. It's like an hour-long review of the most effusive praise. It was really, really nice. So I see that go up, and then I'm just like slammed with orders for the next like 3 days, which has been crazy. So I've packed up like just stacks and like 2 carfuls of games that are going to be shipped out all over the world. So that's been a really cool thing for me to finally have somebody really diving into the game and really appreciating the exact amount of work that I put into it. So
exactly,
that's been very cool.
Especially because I got my copy since we've last recorded. I'm really glad I have it. It's so cool to look through it and see everything. But I'm not as much of a board game person, so I can't really praise it in the way that like a person who actually knows their stuff can. So I'm sure that's a part of it too, is having somebody who's like a subject matter expert, being like, oh yeah, this is quality, this is Kino.
Yeah. And you say that, but one of the things he said is like Winslow is a complete outsider who also doesn't necessarily know how these games would be made in the modern way. Like he was like, he's not paid attention to how games work or like the modernity of like design theory for games. Like this is made by someone completely on the outside, which is absolutely true. I got the award not for like my genius mechanics, which is never going to happen. My brain, as much as I like games, I just don't think like that. I'm not a chess player. I'm, somebody who goes to games for an emotional experience rather than a tactical one. It was based entirely on the art and like the writing for the game. And that's very intentional. Like I didn't want the game to be like this thing where you have to sit down and math out how your role is going to work out and all of these extras and all this stuff like that. Like, that's cool when you can make a game experience like that, but it's not the kind of thing that I want, because it's not the kind of gamer that I wanted to attract. I wanted to attract somebody who was more emotionally invested in storytelling than someone who's going to like rules lawyer every little thing about like whether or not a 17 can be boosted to an 18, which will get you the 18 plus point. They like all this other horse shit. I don't care about that. I want to know how you feel, So it was really cool. And so I just have like, when we're done recording here, I have, fucking $5,000 in games shipping out, which is just nuts, man. So that and some other cool secret little updates on the next 3 fucking games that are in the actually 4, now that I think about it, that are being cooked up right now.
Yeah. I know we're supposed to talk about it, but they're making a Pathologic 4, and they hired Winslow to do it. They were like, yeah, we thought we had it wrapped up, but no, now we got to do more. He showed us the way. They're making an even darker wood now.
Pathologic 4 is just me looking at the camera while speaking to you in like clipped poetry. And no, I've got some fucking sweet shit that's getting lined up, and I gave my copy of the game to the local one of my local game stores. And I don't know, it's a thing where I'm confident about myself in certain ways. Like, I have a certain degree of self-belief, I guess. But if I'm showing somebody who likes big art projects and is kind of into games, my game, then they'll be like, oh, wow, that's really cool. But going into a game store where they have measuring tape for their Warhammer 40,000 thing, where they're doing the whole tabletop thing, and they have all of these technical games, and then also artsy-fartsy games, and then also social games, and all these everything. When they have that degree of like game knowledge, I feel like if I'm not bringing them mechanical brilliance, why the fuck would they care about me? But I left a copy with them, and I'm like, give it a week, play it, tell me how you feel about it, and maybe I can sell it in your store. And I had very little hope for that happening. But I look at my phone this morning and they're following me on Instagram. So they went out of their way to find me. So that's been pretty nice.
Well, maybe they watch that YouTuber and like, wait, I think that guy goes to our store.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Hey, get that game out of the trash. Yeah.
This looks like the coasters we've been using ever since that goth guy came here.
Yeah. So that's all been cool. I could go on and on with that, but yeah, and I got some other new stuff in the shop. Okay, one last thing. I just made and released a new bumper sticker. I don't know if you saw it, but it's I'm replacing some old designs, and I have a new one that like practically came to me in a dream, because it just says proud member of the Hot Air Balloon Disaster Fetishist Association, with a hot air balloon like engulfed in flames crashing out of the sky. And it just says, when they go down, we get off, which has been a new favorite of mine. Yeah. So, and yeah, I got more to say, but I'm excited to get to this episode, and I'm also excited to tell you about my wreck at the end of it, dude. So yeah, let's get into it. We're locked into the pee hole, and we're ready to talk about Charles Entertainment Norris.
Yeah, we are recording this the week after Chuck Norris died. So we were talking about Chuck Norris Facts, which is where he became a part of internet history in 2005. And we're going to be sort of tracking. If you're listening to the show, you probably know what Chuck Norris Facts are, but we're going to walk sort of through how it came to be, who made it, and what Chuck Norris did with that fame, as well as a little bit of, for people about my age, what Chuck Norris was doing before the meme status and why he maybe became a meme. There's a lot to dig into.
That's one thing I like about our show, is that I kind of subconsciously go through these subjects with the idea that my mom might be listening, so that we have to like introduce who it is that we're talking about and why. Because yes, there's a lot of people who know what Chuck Norris Facts are, but we need to like actually bring you into the fold if we want to be a true history podcast, you know?
Oh yeah, perfect. And
but,
we do have this nice image to start us off that's sort of complete with like an illuminated manuscript-esque N on it. So
that is a beautiful N.
Yeah, N is for Norris, Chuck, from Maddox's book, The Alphabet of Manliness, in 2006. So I think that was a great encapsulation of the audience for Chuck Norris Facts. Like if you were reading Maddox, you were probably like, yeah, pre-Tucker Max, this was like edgy dude humor.
Yeah, there's someone much smarter than me. I would love to hear an even keel take on their interpretation of the last 40 years in masculinity, because there was a time, you know, we're looking at a picture, a pencil drawing of Chuck Norris holding two M16s. He's got a belt of ammo across his chest and a bunch of hand grenades, and he's got his sleeves ripped off, and he's got his feathered hair, and he's making kind of the leathery football face, and he's got his tight-ass jeans. There's a big-ass explosion behind him. He's got big open chest hair bristling out, and he's got big old traps and everything, arm hair, the whole shebang. He's obnoxiously masculine, right? That's the whole joke, is that Chuck Norris is the biggest badass you've ever seen in the entire world. And in 2006, this was like a joke that you could kind of like live in. Like what we did that episode about, oh God, who had that kids book? That subscription kids book.
Oh yeah, the Axe Cop.
Axe Cop, exactly that, right. Where like it was like, you know, the dictionary of explosions for boys, you know, where the joke is that like everything is a helicopter fight of rocket launchers and grenades and you know, weasels ripping my flesh. Like it's over the top masculinity. And that was played for laughs in the last 20 years. And now we're slowly, all of the people for whom that joke didn't land, they have kind of like faded away into different types of humor. And what remain, I feel, are a large number of men who literally believed it. Like, I'm not like, there just the other day on Twitter is like, I'm not fucking gay. I eat 2 tomahawk steaks a day. 2 a day. And it's just like this fucking dude who's always flexing, just holding the bone of an animal to eat meat off of it. And like our tour through masculinity has like, there's no way that we could satirize it anymore, because this Chuck Norris is what many men actually believe a man should be. That's my soapbox to start the episode. Anyways.
No, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it turns out this was actually aspirational for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a big explosion, Chuck Norris holding guns. And this is kind of the crux of the Chuck Norris joke. There's a good word for it. Emo Phillips uses it, where like it's a sentence that starts in one place and it concludes in a completely different one. I can't remember it. It's like, I like the Emo Phillips joke of like, I like going down to the park and listening to all the kids scream and run around because they don't know that I'm using blanks. You know, that kind of joke where it relocates you by the end. Anyways, Chuck Norris eats rocks and shits lightning bolts. One time, Chuck Norris was walking around in the forest looking for hippies to use as firewood when a wild boar suddenly crossed his path. Big mistake. Chuck lifted the boar in the air with his mind, spun him around, and digested him telekinetically. And Chuck wasn't even hungry. If you don't know who Chuck Norris is, he's the world champion in Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, karate, sumo wrestling, Taibo, Pad Thai, Street Fighter 2, and he holds a certificate of participation. It just goes on from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's hyper exaggerations of his masculinity, often to an almost kind of eldritch degree. You know, like Chuck Norris eats time kind of thing.
Yeah, this was like a year into it when it had gotten really weird and deep fried. Like that's we have to see some little glimpses at how it changed too. Like the very first ones are pretty funny, I think. We'll see. And also just the fact that it's Chuck Norris, that is something we're going to talk about. Is like a lot of these sort of early memes were focused on these 80s pop culture figures like Mr. T or He-Man or Star Trek The Next Generation. Like when I first started using YTMND, about a third of it by volume was GIFs from Star Trek.
Yeah, and just like what you said in one of our early episodes is that the early memes on the internet seemed really outdated because the first people to start doing this kind of thing on the internet were already in their 20s and 30s. And so they started filling the internet with the jokes from their in-groups. And their in-groups were Monty Python, Star Trek, and like action movies, because it's just a bunch of dudes at the start. Not obviously all of them, but... And so that's why, like, it took a minute for super current pop culture to get a meme foothold, because everything else was just silliness from the childhoods of the people who were already established on the internet when it was first kind of coming online.
Oh, very. And also, it's kind of fun to now be on the other side of that and get to see people being like, wait, what do you mean kids don't know what Donkey Kong 64 is, when they're realizing it's like a quarter of a century old and nobody knows what their avatar is? Or, you know, like, it is kind of neat to be on the other side of that and hopefully handle it with a little more grace than people did.
I don't want to go on a tangent, but like the Nintendo 64, the most infuriating consoles until the Ouya, I would say. But it is very distressing to hear it described as a quarter of a century old. Deep time, upsetting.
Very, yeah.
But yeah, he was an action figure, like an action movie guy, from his earlier. That's kind of what he was doing for a while, right?
Yeah, and also a literal action figure too, as we'll see. But So Carlos Ray Chuck Norris. So yeah, I didn't know his legal first name is Carlos. That was very surprising.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He claims Irish descent with a bit of Cherokee for reasons we'll get into later. So I don't know why he's Carlos. I don't know if that's a traditional Irish name or something. But yeah, that's very funny. Of course, he goes by Chuck. That sounds a little more Anglo.
Chuck, yeah, it is something that you do with a grenade. And it is funny that Chuck Norris is named Carlos and Carlos Mencia is named Ned. You would think they would have traded. Two very different lifestyles. Ned Norris could still kick ass. Carlos Mencia would still, be a bowling ball plagiarist person. Yes. Anyways, so he started in like just schlocky action movies.
Well, his first movie was actually a pretty big debut. He made his sort of premiere in Enter the Dragon, which was Bruce Lee's one American movie he got to complete and release before he died. And he's kind of like the big heavy that he fights off against it. It's actually a pretty good fight because like one thing Bruce Lee was really good at was finding opponents that like were really emphasize their differences. So having this big hairy Irishman squaring off against this like very quick and tight like Bruce Lee, it's just so cool. And him doing the high kicks and stuff. Yeah. At one point he like grabs his chest hair and just pulls out a handful of it. It's a great fight. I see why he would be memorable off of it.
I mean, Bruce Lee was just a genius, man. God, what a talent. You don't need me to tell you about that, but what a beautiful human being who could just throw your ass into the sun.
Yeah, and one thing I like about him too is that like his fights were good because he was willing to kind of like get his ass kicked a little. Like one of his is when he fights Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's him fighting, an enormous man. Right at the beginning, he kicks him right in the chest. The whole fight, he has a footprint like the size of his whole chest on him, just to really drive home like, oh yeah, he is way outmatched by this guy. It's so good.
Oh man, dude. Okay, me and you at some point in time for a bonus episode, we have to do a rewatch of Kung Pao Enter the Fist, because
that'd be
the
great.
Looney Tunes level silliness, that or like we do a rewatch of Wonder Chosen or something, but the thing where the guy has the center of his entire chest kicked out or punched out, where there's just a big hole in his chest now, and then eventually he shows up later and has a chain hooked to it, so pop, and he pops out, and he can spin it around like a swing in a chain kind of thing. Like the idea that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar kicks you, there's a big footprint. It's so fucking funny, dude.
It rules, yeah. No, I like that you have like an annotated Kung Pao companion where it's like explaining all the dated references and it.
That's funny.
Now, this was the announcer of CNN at the time who also voiced Mufasa, so.
Yeah, and also I had the DVD, and so I watched it. I watched the original translation because famously, the movie takes a bunch of other kung fu movies and then dubs in is it Steve Odenkirk? And he's also speaking, his lines don't match up to what he's saying. And so you can actually watch the original dub and see what he's actually saying, and that they later dub over in a different kind of English. And yeah, so there are Easter eggs in that movie that like no one would know until they made the DVD for it, which is like a level of care that you wouldn't expect from a movie with gopher chucks.
Yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense. I think before that, he was doing those like thumb war movies that were kind of big, like direct-to-video hits. So he probably already kind of had that rapport with like, oh yeah, I have an audience of people. They watch the special features. I know who my people are.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's so funny.
When I was researching this, one thing that kind of surprised me is like usually when people like this, like I think of like Steven Seagal, where it's like they aren't actually very good at martial arts and they just got famous for other reasons. But no, Chuck Norris actually is an accomplished martial arts. That's actually how he got into movies. I guess the whole story with him is that he started off serving in the Air Force from 1958 to 1962, and while he was stationed in there, he started learning martial arts, and he studied Tang Soo Do, which is a Korean martial art that's sort of karate based, from what I understand. I'm not much of a martial arts guy, so I'm going to try avoid dipping into there other than basic stuff.
Do you have a favorite Mortal Kombat character?
I was never really much of a Mortal Kombat guy, to be honest, or much of a fighting game person in general. I guess same. I guess I'd probably just have to go with Scorpion just based off of name recognition. Like, it is very fun to shout "Get over here" at people. No, my favorite character is Noob Saibot, the guy that goes "Toasty" whenever you do the thing.
Yes, I like the guy who's like some sort of rotten meat golem. I can't remember his name, but his fighting style is Hungar, which is not a reference to a fish with a big penis. It is some sort of fighting style where you, from what I could tell, you don't bend your elbows for some reason. And so he's just like, it plays like you're like a tin man, just like clunk, clunk, clunk. If imagine the drummer from the Beautiful People music video, just stiff arms playing the drums. Yeah, I always like that guy, whatever his name is, the meat monster guy.
No, he studied at a dojo at Legoland.
Yes, there you go. But yeah, one thing to note here is that you can tell the difference between a really talented person in martial arts who gives a fuck about being an interesting action hero on screen by the degree to which they are allowing themselves to be debased and like smashed and crushed and thrown around and stuff like that. And so when you get guys like The Rock and Vin Diesel, who in their contract can't lose a fight, they can't be shown on screen losing fights, you end up with these boring ass movies that are like this popcorn slop. But when you got a guy like Daniel Craig in the new James Bond, more recent James Bonds, or fucking Norris to a degree, or Bruce Lee, guys who are willing to get their asses kicked, that makes for a much more interesting show, because then there's what's the word? Something to lose, I suppose.
Yeah, there's fallibility. There's
stakes. That's the word.
Yeah, I think like the classic example of that would be like Dave Bautista, where he's like a giant muscle man, but he's a really good character actor who actually cares about acting and like roles as an art form, as opposed to it being an extension of his personal brand, like someone like The Rock, where that is a big part of that. I think that's also why a lot of people really like martial arts movies from other countries, like The Raid and such, because they don't really have as much of that celebrity culture thing going on. So they're it's just fighters being going wild for the fun of it.
Yeah, I forgot. I was trying to remember his name the other day. Dave Bautista. He's so good, especially in the newer cyberpunk movie with his tiny ass little glasses.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's the word. Blade Runner, not cyberpunk. Go see a Star War. Yeah. So he really, Chuck Norris genuinely does care about karate.
Especially at a time when it wasn't nearly as popular.
Bear in mind, karate can be used to kick your ass, but more often than not, it's used for children with attention deficit hyperactive disorder to focus their energy into something other than tormenting their sister. But you can use it as a weapon. It's more than the McDojos of the days of our yore.
Yeah, and
Black Belt magazine.
Oh gosh, yeah, we're gonna get to some fun magazine pictures, but that is kind of a neat thing. Like at this time, this was sort of a way that a lot of like tough guy actors were discovered. Like Mr. T got discovered in a bouncer competition. Also, that's a thing they would have in the 80s. They had bouncer competitions. Like you'd go watch, they'd have a bunch of bouncers do stuff like kind of like the physical challenge or something. And when Mr. T did it, he wore a turban just because he thought wearing a turban would look cool. Like Mr. T is a very interesting figure. I have a lot of fondness for him.
Yeah, I've done shows with his daughter. He's an interesting cat. Seems to have A lot of heart. Yeah.
Yeah, an older one is Wilford Brimley. He got to start being a bodyguard before he was an actor. Yeah, like the guy from the older guy from The Thing used to be Howard Hughes' bodyguard. Like, you know, I guess a modern version of that would be Danny Trejo, how he was like a convict before he became an actor, where sometimes if you are just a naturally tough and charismatic person, you'll find your way into movies.
Yeah, Wilford Brimley, young Wilford Brimley, really, really hot. I don't know if you know that. I just made that up. But I bet he was. I bet because the crazier you look before you die, generally speaking, you are probably pretty fucking hot. Like Steve Buscemi. Young Steve Buscemi, staggeringly beautiful. Not an ugly man now, but definitely young Steve Buscemi was just a heartthrob. Oh, my God. Same thing with fucking Greg Turkington, man. Have you seen young Greg Turkington?
Anytime I see a young version of someone.
What a stud! Oh my God. It's so funny. And he's just a comedy fucking genius. I don't know. I got a lot to say today. I got a lot going on. I'm a chatty Cathy.
Yeah, that's great. But yeah, you did mention it. He showed up in some martial arts magazines. He's the 6-time professional middleweight karate champion. So he's like a guy who was winning tournaments. That's why he wasn't Enter the Dragon, was because he knew Bruce Lee through the martial arts world. It wasn't like he did an audition or something.
Oh, wow.
He actually did them as a fighter. And yeah, in 1969, Black Belt magazine listed Chuck Norris as Fighter of the Year. And this isn't that magazine, but I like the cover of this one a lot more from Karate Illustrated. You get to see a young Chuck Norris doing a flying kick.
Oh, is that him?
Yep. His face is all scrunched up because he's jumping, yeah.
I mean, I don't know enough about karate I don't understand, unless you are coming at someone from an elevation, I don't exactly know how you get this high up in the air over another person, because his foot is like, I guess if you move the camera around, Chuck Norris is fully an entire body above another guy with a flying kick coming down at him. If you're ever in the position where a man's foot is this close to your face, something has gone horribly wrong. Interesting. And they're comparing the powers of different kicks?
Yeah, they sort of by nationality: Chinese, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Okinawan.
Yeah, that's funny.
I didn't include a picture of it, but these old magazines, you've ever had a chance to read one, they're great just for the ads where you have people selling the, like, I know the secret techniques that are banned in most civilized countries. Send me $20 to get your Black Devil Martial Arts Club card. It's so, the Grafton display is so much fun.
I literally wrote a play about the Great Dojo War. Of Count Dante creating like the ultimate lethal fighting style. It's based. I wrote the play based on the Dollop episode of it, but yeah, it's the story of Count Dante going to war with all the other rival dojos. It's a real thing that is very fun to get into. If you ever want to listen to the Dollop episode about Count Dante, it's a treat. There's tigers.
Oh yeah, it's a classic story. It's great. And so that was Chuck Norris's first appearance in Enter the Dragon. But then after that, he started pretty regularly acting. In the 80s, he was in a ton of B movies because he wasn't very expensive and he was a white dude that could do karate. So he could carry a movie. It was just like, yeah, he'll do kicks. He can do stunts. He'll run really quick, you know. And just I found a collage of his 80s movies he put out. The only one of these I've actually seen is The Octagon, which is his ninja movie he did. But gosh, there's so many of these.
The Octagon, An Eye for an Eye, Chuck Norris, Silent Rage, Forced Vengeance, Lone Wolf McQuaid, Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, Code of Silence, Invasion USA, The Delta Force, Firewalker, Chuck Norris, Braddock, Missing in Action 3, and Hero and the Terror. And all of the movie posters are exactly what you expect. He's holding a gun that's always shooting. He looks as cool as possible. He's never smiled a day in his life. Like, he earned the reputation he got, you know?
Yeah, like, even if you've never watched a Chuck Norris movie, if you were in a Blockbuster at any point in the 80s, you had a bunch of them on the wall. So just like, they still had a monoculture back then. You just ambiently knew, oh yeah, Chuck Norris, he's that tough guy from those action movies, just because you existed in the same space as everyone else all the time.
Yeah, there really isn't a guy like this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't think of any, like, guy who's just cranking out action movies, because, like, this isn't really how movies work anymore.
Yeah. I guess the closest I could think of would be like MMA people when they make those like low budget action movies in like Eastern Europe or something, where that's kind of like a cottage industry, or be like the people who make the geezer teasers, like all those movies Bruce Willis was in.
Right, but there's not like a one singular guy for that anymore, I don't think. I think it's kind of become too decentralized for it all. Not like we're missing much, but definitely, if you're into this kind of slop, there's plenty of it to go around.
Yeah. And also, like, you can just tell, look at these. One of the things about is, like, not really much of a spoiler that Chuck Norris is like a right winger, but also that kind of reflects in his choice of movies, like the Missing in Action trilogy. Like, that's based on the Missing in Action myth of the Vietnam War, where, there's all these soldiers still there. We have to go back and rescue them. Like, it's basically a Rambo knockoff. It's more explicitly like, we're going to rescue our boys. And okay, yeah, so I do want to talk a little bit about Golan Globus, because Norris did a lot of his 80s movies with them under Canon Films, and they are an interesting part of 80s, because like if you are a movie fan and you like schlock or B movies, you probably have a lot of fondness for Canon, because they made a lot of like beloved 80s cheese. But also the thing about Golan Globus is that they were both Israeli filmmakers, so they're kind of single-handedly responsible for the pop culture image of a terrorist being an Arab person with an AK-47 yelling at people. Like, they're one of those things where, and that reflects in a lot of these movies, as remember, focus on in particular, but it's kind of like you can kind of see where a lot of the similar like paranoia and mindset that people have now, you can see the seeds of it in this stuff.
I'm glad that you said all of that before I got a chance to say that Golan Globus definitely sounds like the name of like a friendly slime monster. Hello, my name is Golan Globus.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just thinking of Krobus from Stardew Valley. But yeah, it's crazy. I was reading that book about the history of the CIA and the KGB, and one of the things that they said was that when the KGB knew that there was going to be a labor strike happening, they went out of their way to like go to where the strike, like the protest was going to happen, and they left pallets of bricks around. And then they had guys there to start throwing bricks at stuff so that the police would have a reason to start gunning people down, because now they're using like, weapons that they were providing. And then they just threw a couple bricks and ran away. So now the entire strike is just completely massacred. Every day during the 2020 protests in Chicago, oh, look, there's a big pile of bricks right here that there's no construction going around, but somebody dropped off a big pile of bricks in the middle of the street right where there's going to be a protest. To give the police an excuse to start using live ammo, or to give the police an excuse to start really cracking down. It's just kind of funny that you can see that thing from history happening in real life, right? And so one of the things about those protests is there's the outside agitator aspect of so many of like the Black Lives Matter protests, where the right-wing response to seeing hundreds of thousands of people on the streets is saying that they're paid actors. We've already heard that a trillion times, but also saying they're not actually from that city. They're from another city, and they showed up there to protest because they were paid by, George Soros or whatever. And that exact line of thinking has been around like since my mom was a little girl. But you see that is the storyline of Invasion USA, which is like, yes, there's these huge race riots going on that are making that are like really embarrassing to Ronald Reagan, and they just make him look absolutely terrible and make America look bad. But don't worry, racial relations aren't actually bad in America. It's secretly the communists who are tricking black people into thinking that America is racist, so that we can get later invaded by the communists. So we can kick black people's ass, but we're doing it because we're secretly fighting the Kremlin.
Exactly, yeah. Like, it's okay we opened fire on this boat full of refugees from Cuba because they're secretly drug dealers. We didn't know that till after we killed them, but trust us,
Yeah. We're saying that today as reports are coming out that this weapons factory that we just blew up in Iran was actually a dairy farm. So we're still doing it. We've been doing it this whole time. We're still just killing random people and saying that they're different random people that we also shouldn't be killing. Fun time to be an American.
Although also Invasion USA does kind of neatly connect to our last episode because it takes place in Miami and is explicitly a response to the Miami race riots that we talked about a little bit in there. So it's kind of fun to see these two episodes connecting completely unintentionally. And so, like, yeah, Norris was in a lot of movies, but he was never in, like, a blockbuster. He never had his equivalent of Steven Seagal doing Under Siege or something like that. He was always just, like, a B-movie guy. But I think another reason why he's probably really well known is because he marketed heavily to kids. In the 80s, karate was a bit of a fad. So, like, one of the things he sold was these Chuck Norris action jeans, which were jeans they would advertise that you could do high kicks in them because they had an extra gusset sewn into the crotch. So if you were a boy growing up, then you probably saw Chuck Norris doing his cool kicks in his jeans a zillion times.
I found out about this during my daily search for extra gusset. Yeah, I mean, he's crazy fit, and he's wearing some stretchy-ass pants so he can kick really high, a thing that almost no one ever needs to do, ever. Oh, man. And Chuck Norris Karate Commandos down here, one, he has, like, a red handkerchief across his neck, which is, like, very gay-coded, also very, could be, like, a commie thing as well. But then you look down to all of the other action heroes with him. You've got, like, a great big fat Samoan guy, some tiny, I can't really tell. It's like
it's very funny. There's supposed to be different fighting styles, but then there's also a weightlifting guy. Like, for some reason, weightlifting counts as a karate.
Yeah, I mean, dude, imagine if I just picked you up and threw you up into the bleachers. You'd count that as a fight. You know, if my entire tactic is picking people up and tossing them, chucking them, chucked Norris, you know, it's a completely different thing. They should just have one guy with a gun. I think that would be way better.
That's what the American guy on Captain Planet, that's what his rig should have been.
Right, but it has to be like a toddler that picked up their dad's gun. That's what I want to see. Yeah, okay. All right, so now we're getting into the real beef of the matter.
Yeah, because he was in 21 movies over the course of 17 years, but what really sort of cemented him in pop culture was when he broke into television with Walker, Texas Ranger on CBS, which is the channel for old people. It's what they show NCIS on and such now. But even back then, it very much had a target audience. So yeah, Walker, Texas Ranger, Chuck Norris is, with all this wonderful 90s graphic design. Zooming in on a green screen so that he's just moving forward when the background stays still. So good.
Yeah, it looks like shit. And it's just like these like explosions and cowboy bullshit in like pseudo modern Texas. It's so good. It's so good at being bad. It's funny because CBS still looks like this, man.
Yeah, like they found a formula that works. Like I was thinking, like this kind of reminds you a little bit of Taylor Sheridan now, where it's just kind of like, yeah, this is like stuff that like old Republican men watch. So they can be like, oh fuck yeah, that's how they should do it, you know, that type of show.
Yeah, exactly that. It's funny because I have a bunch of those crazy DVDs for Chaos Packs upstairs, and like. It's like the same thing for CBS and on Sci-Fi, where it'll be like a movie made with a budget of $100,000, and it's about like an electric black hole that's eating Manhattan, and there's like a badass sci-fi scene in like the first episode, and then they just keep using like recut clips of the CGI that they spent all their money on throughout the entire show, and the rest of it is just like looks like it's done in Gary's mod, you know, like it just looks absolutely fucking terrible. You can't get much better at being worse than a made for TV slop like this, you know.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And I'd never seen an episode of this show before this. I've been aware of it for reasons we will find out. But, yeah, we're going to camp out a little bit here because Walker, Texas Ranger is a ridiculous show. I've found some fantastic examples of it. And also, before we do it, it's worth mentioning this premiered 2 weeks after the X-Files. Like, if you find the original promotional images, like they look like they're like you could see Dana and like Mulder and Scully right off to the side, like the same camera grain, the same like 90s suits. It's so funny seeing this completely different show with like the same promo imagery.
And it's all like kind of interesting redefinition of masculinity and femininity, because the female lead to his left here is a rather masculine looking woman, and then the black the black man on the opposite side, is a masculine man, but decidedly less masculine than Chuck, because he definitely looks more bookish. But
he's non-threateningly masculine.
I imagine everybody in this show gets a chance to kick ass at some point in time, but definitely, Chuck is the main character here, holding up his pants because his belt isn't tight enough. Yeah.
He's getting ready to shoot you with his belt buckle gun. But yeah, no, I actually did look a little bit. Yeah, the woman character, she's like she's a district attorney, I think, or a lawyer. So she's not actually like kicking ass, although she gets kidnapped sometimes.
Okay.
And the other guy, his thing is that he's from the ghetto in Baltimore, and the reason why he's working as a Texas Ranger is because when he was growing up, he was a big fan of the Lone Ranger. So this is them being like, all right, look, we have to do our 90s DEI. How can we justify this? Fuck, let's do it. Whatever. Like it feels very kind of whatever. We need to have him here.
Yeah, I really like the idea of a young black boy in the ghetto watching Lone Ranger and being like, I'm going to move to Texas. Interesting writing decision, but go ahead.
One day I'll find a white guy who claims to be Native American and I'll follow him everywhere he goes.
Absolutely. Like that one fucking Johnny Depp movie that everybody hated.
Just to give an example of like what the writing is like, I have 2 quotes from the same episode of Walker, Texas Ranger. Would you like to do Walker and I can do the various criminals?
Yeah, sure. So first off, we should state that you are playing characters just listed as rapist.
Yes, my dramatis personae is rapist.
Go ahead.
Today. Okay. Ranger, you screwed up. You forgot to read us our rights.
You're right. You have the right, kicks the rapist, to remain silent. Yep, it's exactly what you want.
And their character identified as criminal goes, this is Mexico, Ranger. You've got no right.
I've got no right?
No.
Walker punches him. I think that was pretty good, right? This doesn't even fucking work. Yeah, it's fun slop, but it's slop for sure.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of the whiteboard in Workaholics, where it's like, no, we have to do the references to his right having multiple meetings every time.
And it looks like the Nielsen ratings, it had a hell of a lot of views, lots of millions of viewers, never breaking the top 10.
Yeah, it was like looking at old television viewership numbers is always very ridiculous because like for context, the finale of Game of Thrones had 13.6 million live viewers, 19.3 million if you include streaming, and in 1998 to 1999, at number 15 on the Nielsen ratings, they had more live viewers at 14.4 billion. So there was a monoculture then. People were watching the same things in a way that they really don't now.
I guess it's just different because there's say what you will about Game of Thrones and how it ended or whatever. I never watched it, but there was more to chew on. That Game of Thrones feels like it had more of a presence in our culture than Walker Texas Ranger did, because Walker Texas Ranger is just he shows up, he kicks ass, he shows up, he kicks ass, and that's the whole thing. Whereas Game of Thrones has ups and downs and characters come and go and lose their lives and all that. So it was the best selling slop popcorn that we had at the time,
And I guess also because fans of this is probably a show people would put on after they get home from the bar to fall asleep to. It wasn't I don't think there were a hardcore fandom going to Walker Con 94 or whatever.
Right. Walker Stalker.
Although speaking of, now we get to the fun part, which is there is an actual Walkerpedia, the wiki for all things Walker. And I had to pan for gold in that thing. And wouldn't you know it, they have summaries for a lot of episodes. So I flipped through all 203 episodes of this, and I handpicked a couple of particularly funny episode summaries I found on there. So I thought maybe we could alternate on these and just, enjoy each one as they come.
Yeah, dude.
Before a cyclone hits, Walker must rescue 10 kidnapped children in a buried school bus who are being held for a $1 million ransom each.
East meets the Wild West when Cordell Walker and James Trevette try to safeguard a congressman whose assistant killed a Yakuza boss and find themselves confronting a Japanese hitman who also happens to be both a martial arts master and an old friend of Walker. All one sentence. This is written by the fandom Wikipedia people, like users, so it has that very precious clipped way of writing that is just so much fun to read out loud.
It's so funny because like Wikipedia itself is this like wonderful pursuit of like, let's everybody get together and collect our knowledge into one place. And like, it's just what a monumental achievement. Yes, they have their problems, but like, it's crazy that we can all work together towards like the documentation of our lives, of the world that we live in. Right. And then you get to things like Walkerpedia, where it's just like, wow, I don't think that in 10,000 years we're necessarily going to need to know the episode synopses of Walker, Texas Ranger, but whatever. Anyways, Walker, Trevette, and Gage go to Walker's bachelor party in the woods when Gage is attacked by a bear. Walker, Trevette, and Gage are definitely the most masculine and also very feminine names. Trevette. Gage is like the toughest thing a person can possibly be named because it sounds like cage and it's also how you measure rifle cartridges. So, yeah, that goes hard for a reason.
When a woman goes against the state police's beliefs that her father was a casualty of his own drunk driving, Walker believes her and stumbles across an illegal ring of toxic dumpers. Like we have a drunk driving truther episode. I love it.
Buddy, toxic dumpers is what I call my wife. No, I don't know. It's toxic dumpers is a very that's a fetish I don't want to Google. Walker believes that the dean of the college where Alex teaches is hiding something surrounding the rapes on campus, and also stumbles across information that leads him to believe that one of his karate students has a connection of some sort with a drug ring that he's been chasing for some time. But it's personal, not only because the kid's mom's boyfriend set him up and left his partner for dead, but the guy also beats on the kid and the kid's mother. That last sentence is a real roller coaster. Also beats on the kid. I mean, beats, just say abuses, whatever.
Yeah.
Punches him up real bad.
Just fighting game combos on his son.
Yes.
Cordell and Trevette go undercover to try and catch a bunch of big rig hijackers.
Walker transports a mob accountant on a plane so he can testify in court. The mob leader wants him dead, so he causes the plane to crash. Walker and the survivors must find their way from the crash site to safety while the mob chases them.
Yeah, there were like 20 episodes based around a plane crash. I guess they just wanted to reuse that stock footage a whole bunch of times or something.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's always I can picture the commercials before the episode where it starts to go down and you don't know how it happens.
Vince Pike, who murdered Walker's fiancée 10 years earlier, is released from prison on a technicality. He promptly targets Walker and company for murder.
Like, all the names are like these gut-punching names. Walker tells a group of orphans an Old West Christmas story. That's fucking rad. That's a good... We packed a lot in just a few words there.
Oh, yeah. Those brief ones are always nice. Next up, a jaded dragon with a mystical past is stolen by a Chinese gang, believing it really has magical powers. A young man steals it from them, thinking it will heal his sister, who is in a coma. Texas.
Dude, oh man, there's so much going on. One thing I know about Texas is that there's a lot of jade dragons with mystical powers. It's kind of a big problem down there. Anyways, Trevette leads the investigation when a little girl, Rebecca Senstad, is kidnapped. The mother, Kay Senstad, relies on a psychic, Meredith Clancy, so Trevette must work with her to find the girl. Meredith does have psychic abilities, and together they find the Rebecca. The Rebecca.
The Rebecca. All right. Walker and Trevette attempt to take down an illegal adoption agency.
Yes, it's human trafficking, but it's like adoption is like an illegal, like maybe they're just not doing the right paperwork or something, but like an illegal adoption agency is just kind of a funny thing. It's just like an illegal no-kill pet shelter. You know, like it's like, hey, how are you doing this in a nefarious way? It's an adoption agency. I mean, there's obviously in more recent news, there are very evil ways to do that, but I don't know. I'm wondering how they put that all together. Walker and Trevette stop in a small town while transporting a likable prisoner. The sheriff rules the town with strict laws, harsh enforcement, and promotes racism with his deputies. I like that there's no conflict there. It's just like they stop in a small town where it's very harsh and racist. And that there's no problem with that. We're just going to keep on, get back in the truck. That's how I refer to myself on this podcast. I'm just a likable prisoner. That's great.
The Rangers try to pick up the trail after finding the body of a cattle brand inspector killed by rustlers who think they've made the death look like an accidental stampede.
Cattle brand inspector sounds like one of the jobs they make up for the man on the street interviews that the Onion used to do.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's gotta be some sort of country song about a woman killing her husband with a fake stampede. That's awesome. Mustangs is the 4th episode of Season 3 of Walker, Texas Ranger. The episode is about Santana, the legendary stallion. They didn't need that first sentence at all, and it's just about a horse. Great.
Wow, I can't believe they got Santana on this show. I didn't know they had the budget for that horse.
Yeah.
This is a good one. Okay. A young boy is considered to be the reincarnation of a former master named Lama Dolgen. Walker helps protect Master Rin, who has taken the boy under his wing in order to restore him to his power. So it's just shown in anime now.
That's fucking sick. Yeah, that's like once you have this many episodes, you become One Piece. Okay. The skeletal remains of a teenage Native American boy are found on a construction site. He was murdered 8 years earlier. Walker feels the spirit of the Native American who helps him solve the mystery of his death. I'm imagining this one has a lot of like 50% opacity, like Native American guy with a tear running down his cheek, like kind of appearing, kind of like the Sherlock Mind Palace type of thing where there's just like shit on the screen. Yeah, that's kind of the only way that CBS could afford to do that.
Yeah, that is one of the recurring things of the show is that the character of Cornell Walker is like part Cherokee. So he has like Native American powers, basically. Like he can commune with the spirits when needed, or like this one literally talk to the dead to solve a murder. It's very like, it's kind of Indiana Jones rule where all the religions are true.
Yeah, he's kind of a psyker from Warhammer lore, I would say. He's kind of got like a 1% psyker. And then, I don't know, who the karate chapter of, he's 1% psyker, 1% orc, and then definitely, I don't know, Iron Hands, I would say, before the second founding. I've been watching a lot of Warhammer lore videos, man. It's the only thing I can really think about.
I just got bummed out because I just imagined like how many custom little Chuck Norris figurines people have made for their Warhammer armies.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
An agricultural company produces cattle feed that contains a virus. Instead of recalling the feed, they let the virus spread for research and a way to make it better. It affects almost everyone in town. So now it's a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, and the virus is WannaCry, so it's the one that takes over your hard drive, and you have to send them Bitcoin. Send each cow 1 Bitcoin. But this is back before Bitcoin was worth what it is, so it was actually pretty easy to get rid of it. Walker and Trevette are in the midst of investigating a trio of college students who use Rohypnol to subdue unsuspecting female victims in nightclubs when their friend, Darcy Reynolds, is raped on her 21st birthday. After another one of their victims is killed, the trio become willing to try anything to shake the Rangers. Jesus.
Yeah.
Not the people that I want to be handling sex crimes, honestly.
I feel like that's a little ahead of the curve for doing a very special episode about date rape like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of Walker gets with woman who is 16 years his junior, and it's totally okay. But I don't know. Maybe he has a thing in his contract where he can't be like a pedophile or something. I don't know.
I want to know what the Latin term for that is that lawyers use.
Yeah.
All right. Next up here. Walker realizes that his friend, ex-con Charlie Brooks, is a dead ringer for, quote, the Iceman, and convinces Charlie to impersonate him in a plot to end the crime boss's reign of terror. And I was really disappointed that by Iceman he didn't mean the mummy, and it was going to be like a fun mummy adventure.
Yeah. Also, Charlie, no, Charlie, I'm thinking Charlie Booker. Never mind. Anyways, Walker becomes the guardian of a 7-year-old boy who unknowingly contracted AIDS from his drug-addicted mother, who left him behind after escaping a drug bust. That's exactly what you want to hear, man. That's CBS TV.
Yeah. And it's going to come up later, too. So just remember that there's an AIDS episode of Walker. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're referring to, actually. That's funny.
A woman witnesses a murder and is on the run from the killer. She takes her son to stay with his father, who is a pro wrestler struggling with his own problems. The Rangers try and find her to protect her. We have a wrestler at Prey. Why not?
Yeah. How many times do you think luchadores show up in this whole thing? Like masked, and like he takes off his mask and there's another mask
for a
underneath
Chuck
it.
Norris show.
Yes, yeah. A teenage girl gets stalked by a young drug dealer. Along the way, her talent for singing is discovered. Help!
Say.
That's awesome.
Golden voice on that victim. An escaped convict embarks on a deadly pursuit to kill every person who was involved in his sentencing. His top target is the kind old judge who the convict intends to return the favor by executing.
A satanic cult is kidnapping children. Oh, dude, I'm so excited for this last one.
A former member of the IRA
Christ,
brings his
ahead.
daughter to Dallas for medical treatment. However, Irish radicals follow them there to kidnap her and force her father to help. The Rangers must find her before she dies of her illness.
Jesus Christ, dude. I love the idea of like Deadliest Warrior importing wars from other parts of the world so that they can be fought on Texas territory. We should do that. We should just pick a part of the world and just be like, no more wars anywhere else in the world. We settle them here. Send 100 of your best dudes, and then it's just like CS:GO. We sort out the wars in a contained environment. It's kind of like how that's basically the story of Team Fortress 2, or like the only thing in the world that we just sort everything out on this one like 10 by 10 mile strip of land, and whoever wins, like that's it. Like we settle it like that. Anyways, Special Olympians are in town for an athletic competition. When one of the disabled youngsters trips over Trent Malloy's near-fatal encounter with an assassin for hire, she becomes the assassin's next target. Walker is all that stands between hunter and quarry. So there's a disabled Special Olympian who accidentally shows up at an assassination and then becomes the next target of assassination. CBS, baby. That's a level of convoluted.
It's called Special Witness.
What is it? Special Witness. Jesus Christ. Okay. For listener, please forgive me for what I'm about to say. But there was an episode of NCIS it was CSI, I think, CSI Miami, where like some cattle hand. I'm butchering the details on this, but there's some guy is doing some sort of animal abuse on his ranch, and he uses the R word a lot, and he's like really like brutal to other people. He's like racist, just like evil guy stuff. And then eventually he gets arrested and charged with all these crimes. And whoever the main redhead guy in CSI is, he's the boss in Session 9, whatever that actor is. When the bad rancher guy gets arrested, he says, if retarded means slowed down or delayed, I guess your life just got retarded. And like puts on his sunglasses when he says that.
just, oh man, like, it's really funny to go back to, like, I wouldn't call that early woke, because that was way before what we would define as woke, right? But it was in this kind of lib era where we were genuinely trying to be inclusive and trying to not say, like, despicable things, like Shallow Hal, where the conceit of the movie is like, hey, a fat person can be beautiful inside too, the way that thin people are on the outside. It's like, which is such an insane way of looking at that. And so the idea of, like, using I use the slurs to fight the slurs is so fucking wild to me. Like, we've all seen the insanely cringe protest signs at early Black Lives Matter protests where, like, white women would show up being like, I love black cock, and that's why I'm here. And it's like, Jesus Christ, people are dying. What are you doing? It's just a very, very, very fun to see people navigating a very delicate political environment with basically oven mitts on their hands. It's Jesus Christ. Special Witness.
Oh yeah, there's a couple more.
Oh, this keeps going. Okay. A predominantly Native American Grand Prix racing team suspects correctly that a rival team is pulling every dirty trick in the book to prevent them from competing. Meanwhile, Trent and Carlos hunt for evidence to bust a child molester. I mean, there's a lot going on there. I do like a show with an A plot and a B plot, and I'm glad a molester's getting busted. But I guess I just didn't think that the Texas Rangers would get involved in Grand Prix racing. I think that's more of a civil suit.
Okay, this next one is very our podcast, so I had to include it. Livegirls.now is the 17th episode of Season 7 of Walker, Texas Ranger. The episode deals with the sensitive topic of human trafficking. And yeah, the title is Livegirls.now, which is the name of the website you go to buy girls on. And yeah, so in the 90s, Walker, Texas Ranger is like, okay, the internet's a thing. We got to do an episode about that.
Was this during, because there was I don't know what it was that happened recently where, like, it used to be .com, .org, .biz, .whatever, and then there was this, like, explosion of new possible domains where, like, Dave Ross's website is like guns.beer, right? Was livegirls.now a thing? Was that like a tie-in website?
That's actually why they did it, was to try and make it so it wasn't an actual website. But now it is. It changed.
Oh God! Well, don't go there. Stop. If you're listening to this episode and you're buying human beings,
all right, this next one's yours.
A shaman transports Walker 130 years back in time to prove the innocence of a Comanche man. Walker must simultaneously bring justice to another innocent Comanche man, also falsely accused of murder in the present. Murder in the Present is definitely an interesting title for, like, a time travel themed crime drama.
I was not expecting time travel to factor into this show.
Well, I mean, they have to eventually.
Play themselves as a country singing group. The Lynn sisters are kidnapped and forced to record their music for a bootleg music mongrel. I love the idea that's how bootleg music works. It's like it's an illegal recording.
You kidnap them? That's bizarre.
You're making music for me
now. That's so funny. Oh my God. Bootleg music mongrel is just such a what a pull of words, man. Just the just coming up Millhouse here. Oh boy, hold on. Let me put on my voice for this. The deaf daughter of an Elvis impersonator witnesses a murder. That's all you need. What else could there possibly be? Jesus Christ, that's so funny.
Walker pursues thieves who stole a powerful sonic laser with the intent of selling it to terrorists, but they soon have it stolen by a rival gang.
Dude, oh man, they finally unlock super weapons, man. They finally, like, I do want to see Walker, Texas Ranger taking on DARPA. That's so fucking good, dude.
In this episode, Walker gets all the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, in this episode, Walker finally builds a chronosphere.
Dallas prepares for a ceremony to promote unity among the races. A white supremacist group goes to Dallas with the intent of placing bombs to destroy the unity. Gage takes a young boy under his wing to keep him from joining a gang. So it's just like they knew that they couldn't have an episode where white people are doing bad things, so they had to have Gage there, showing that black people can do bad things too. That is a very funny way of doing both sides moderate kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, like, that's just...
Yeah, also the way that it's phrased, they say placing bombs to destroy the unity. It's like unity is a physical object that they need to destroy.
Yeah, that's so good.
To catch a group of kidnappers targeting newborns, Sydney and Gage play the role of the parents of the most recent baby napping. Meanwhile, Alex encounters a man trying to force tenants out of rent-controlled apartments and convinces a judge to halt the owner's attempt to have the place condemned so he can demolish it to make room for a strip mall. When a boy accidentally witnesses the owner's accomplice sabotaging the building's furnace so the owner could demolish the building without being held liable and is trapped, Walker must rescue him before the building collapses.
Man, that was their idea for a movie?
Okay, kid. Other than that, how was school today?
Oh, dude. That's so fucking funny. Oh, my God. Other than that, how was school today? Jesus Christ. Oh, jeez. Okay. A new drug. Okay, hold on. This is... A new drug called the White Buffalo hits the streets, and Alex, Sydney, and a young girl find the drug dealers while they are hiking. Sydney is shot by the drug dealers. Walker investigates a buffalo statue that appears to be crying tears. What a left turn! Oh my God. White Buffalo is so fucking funny because one, like the racial component of it is like implied there in a really funny way, but also that's like the hallucinogen drug from Silent Hill is called White Claudia. So I like the idea that there's like a unreleased episode where they birth like the fetal god of Chuchulbara from Silent Hill. Fuck, dude, that's so fucking funny. Okay. Oh boy, dude, this next one for you is going some places.
Okay, yeah. This is our last one. So, the Rangers try to bring a halt to the black market trade of African conflict diamonds for illegal weaponry. Meanwhile, Alex finds herself in danger of exposure to Ebola virus, and matters go worse when Walker and Trevette are being tracked down by the men responsible for the illegal trade. The episode would not only turn out to be a vivid nightmare by Alex, but also a premonition, which might result in the deaths of Walker and Trevette.
There's so much going on there. Ebola was a thing that, I mean, understandably, people were extremely worried about for a long time. But now that we know that viruses are all made up, I guess we don't think about it anymore. But yeah, each of these, they really start reaching with these B-plots, man. Because each of these B-plots could be a full movie. I also like premonitions showing up multiple times in this list.
Yeah, and I didn't even include all the mysticism, just the interesting ones. Like, there is kind of like an ambient, like, communicating with the spirits or, like, talking to a medicine man vibe going throughout this. It's way more supernatural than I thought.
Yeah, and I just wonder, like, those types of guy, like, how does that bleed into their actual politics? Because, like, I mean... I don't need to be the one to explain this, but you would think that, like, let's squeeze all of the blood out of the earth and drink all the oil and burn everything down and turn everything into a strip mall is, like, you know, a bad thing that I imagine most people who are more in tune with the earth or in tune with their ancestors might feel. But knowing that he is, like, a full straight ticket Republican is just... Then why do you tap into your 1/26% Cherokee identity as often as you do? Like, I really don't get it. I think a lot of these people just like wearing feathers. I don't think that it's actually anything beyond that. Funny. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, I've never seen an episode of this, but it makes sense why Conan had that lever that he could pull to pull up an insane deep cut from every episode.
Yeah, and that's actually a great teaser for our next episode, because I think this seems like a good point for us to split in half. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about Conan O'Brien and his Walker Texas Ranger lever and how that might be most directly responsible for Chuck Norris memes as we know them.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening. Before we get to the, we have usually some recs at the end here. I have a couple. I'll do one and then the next. We do have a Patreon where for $1 a month you get 50 hours of new episodes that we haven't put up. Most of them we haven't put up on the main feed. All of them are like fully done, fully researched, real ass episodes. It's not just us gabbing about things. They just didn't make it to the main feed for one reason or another. All of that money goes to Jay and Steve. Yeah, that's on Patreon. The link is down there. I'm from the internet. You'll find it. And you can find us on at iftipod@gmail.com, and we're on Twitter at iftipod there too. If you want to support me, I'm Winslow Dumain on Twitter, winslowdumain.com to get my game and all my new stuff that I'm putting out. And you can find me on Instagram at calculations. And then, Jay, where can they find you?
I'm Jay Brandstetter on Blue Sky. My link tree is in the show notes. And other than that, I don't really have anything else to promote right now. I'm just having fun with the show, getting back in the swing of things.
Getting back in it. Well, that's what we got. I have a very special rec that I'm going to do when we do the next episode. But do you have one for this one?
I need to start thinking of midpoint recs. I guess in terms of, okay, yeah, I have one actually. It's a game I've been playing recently. It's called The Coin Game. It's an indie game that's been in development for like 7 years. It just hit version 1.0. And it's an interesting premise. What it is it's simulating all the ticket collection arcade games that you played when you were a kid. Like, you know, like all like the ones where you drop the coins and they fall down, and you could actually collect the tickets and redeem them. And there is like a relaxed version where they just drop you on this island. You can go to all these arcades and play them. But there's also a survival mode, which is like the real game. It's fun. It's like you have to make money and buy food to eat. So you can do stuff like you can babysit the neighbor's kids, or you can like mow someone's lawn or deliver papers. And also, like, you can get the prizes you get. You can sell them at a pawn shop for money and use that. Like, there's a whole little economy. It's just like a fun space to exist in for a half hour at a time. It's a fun little game.
Fascinating. I have not heard anything about that, but now I have to look it up. The book that I read, I've read 2 books recently. One of them that I think it's a very interesting read if you're into this kind of writing. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of research for my next game, but I'm reading A New Breed, Satellite Terrorism in America. It's by an anesthesiologist who is he put to paper a lot of the early aspects of like the technological parts of gang stalking that I think it's just really interesting, and it's kind of one of those things where if you were to read about this book in another book, it would kind of explain the weird sexual hangups that this guy has, and kind of the paranoia and the ego and the self-aggrandizement that is like courses throughout this book. But if you're just reading it as a source document on a person with paranoid schizophrenia, it's a different kind of read, because you do have to like keep checking off boxes every time he makes an like unnecessary oblique sexual reference in this book about how he's being like harassed and terrorized by the government. Because it's just this guy who's talking about, you know, they're using satellites to like use X-ray beams to look inside my house to film me having sex. But he'll just like talk about like, you know, my former boss had his wife, and his wife had a great rack, and like then he'll just like talk about something else, and then you go back and you're like, why didn't you tell me that your boss's wife has a great rack? What are we doing? Yeah, it's an interesting read. A New Breed, Satellite Terrorism in America. Another book by a deeply disturbed individual. So that's what we got. That's what I recommend. And we'll be back next week with even more. Please drop a review, like, subscribe, tell your friends. All of that really matters to us. And we'll be back soon. Thank you so much.
Sweep the leg.
I'm From the Internet is created by Brandstetter and Winslow Domain. Edited by Steve Brown. Music by Steve Is Broke.
It's not just the synopses themselves, it's the fact that they're like written by wiki people. So it's like this, not illiterate, but like very clipped and like a lot of run-on sentence. It's like having a very excited child try and describe the premise of the episode to you.